Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're having a wonderful night, morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are and whoever you are. We have one more article that dropped 5 hours ago. Lo and behold, it dropped right after I uploaded the last video about the Platinum Oval Yuji Nakao-san's message to the fan base. This came out a little bit after, and it's an Eurogamer interview. It's in a different language, and this person, nice enough to upload it, would be Luneth22, and also translated, I think. No, translated via DeepL with some revisions. So it is uh, taken care of in the sense of like, um, there's been some, it's not just, Google Translate. So there is more accuracy probably in this corrections and all that. So I'm gonna go through it. It is a long read, so if you're interested, obviously stick around. There is some new points in it. I skimmed through it a little bit. It is a little late night here, so I'm trying to do this as fast as possible. No yapping. As soon as this interview ends, I'm gonna log off. So, with that being said, let's get right into it. Again, thank you to Luneth for uploading it and translating it. And this is the picture. I'm probably gonna use this as a thumbnail so people know exactly what I'm talking about. And this was on the Ninja Gaiden Reddit, so thank you to people that share stuff in there. I try to avoid and not go up in there because I don't want to see leaks and stuff, but Anyways, get into it. Anna Kudinov. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Video editor at Eurogamer. Finally, we can discuss Ninja Gaiden 4, and what's more, with the producer from one of the absolute favorite studios when it comes to fighting games, Platinum Games, fighting games, right? But producer Yuji Nakao didn't just reveal deep insight and inspiration for the combat system of upcoming Ninja Gaiden. Team Ninja producer Masakazu Hirayama, finally I said it correctly, also told me how to collaborate between the two cult studios. And Xbox went how long and the fourth installment of Ninja Gaiden has been in development, and even said a few words about the length of Ninja Gaiden 4. Ooh, okay, the length is interesting. After the brief introduction to the new combat elements, which were already revealed to us from behind closed doors, I wasn't the only one thinking Platinum Games is finally back. Benjamin was also enthusiastic after his extensive play session. If you can't wait to play the game with Ryu Hayabusa and his new younger buddy, Yakumo, then this interview is sure to get you even more hyped. Enjoy. And that's exactly what we're looking for. Eurogamer, how much of Ninja Gaiden 4 is Platinum Games and how much is Team Ninja? Excellent question. Masakazu Hirayama-san. I said it once and that's it. I can only say this correctly once and that's it for the rest of the day. Restart tomorrow. The main development of the game is done entirely by Platinum Games. Platinum Games shares the bills with Team Ninja on daily basis. Daily basis is insane. We look them over and give feedback on how we would adjust the game. Okay, I have to yap. As a developer, and I'm just art just art director. I don't even know how most of these things are done, right? But sharing builds daily? That's insane. That's insane. There's a lot of care into this, guys. Like I cannot express how much care and effort is going into this fucking game. And I swore again. I'll have a day where I'm not swearing. Going on to the next part. How did this collaboration begin? Heard this story 50 times. We develop action games at Team Ninja, and we play everything there is in the genre. Ooh, did you play Devil May Cry? Among all the other action game developers out there, we have a lot of respect for Platinum Games in particular, especially for their main installments. Especially for their achievement with Nier Automata and Bayonetta. That's why we thought they would be great partner for this new main installment for Ninja Gaiden 4. We were only able to achieve certain milestones through this collaboration. We wouldn't have been able to do a lot of it on our own. When did the development begin? Next question. Hirayama-san, my memory is a little hazy, but I would say the initial conceptual discussion began about 5 or 6 years ago. But full production began about 3 years ago. So they had approximately 2-3 years of a conceptual phase, proof of concept and all that. That's longer than, well, depends on the IP. That's longer than usual. If it's a franchise, it usually takes less than that. But new IPs take longer. They can take up to like 4 or 5 years to actually do conceptual design. Anyways, moving on. Yapping. Um. Okay, I read that. Okay, I read that. All right. The next question: did COVID pandemic cause any obstacles? Nakao-san answers, well, there were still restrictions at the time of the initial discussion, but since the actual production and intensive development phase began later, our work wasn't really affected. Thank God. Eurogamer, next question. Will the lever structure in Ninja Gaiden 4 remain the same throughout as outlined in the previews? Hirayama-san, the level of design remains similar to previous Ninja Gaiden games. Nope, definitely not that. First, you fight hordes of enemies, and at the end, you face a boss. Classic. These levels are connected by movements, sections that you use to obtain this so-called Raven gear. So you'll slide along rails or use a kind of grappling hook to transport you to different locations. This connects the battles, but the focus remains on combat. The mechanics you learn from the movement sections can then also be used in combat. For example, the Raven gear is great for versatility and interacting with the environment. So to put a visual on that, you wall run, you grapple, you zip line, and all that stuff can be used in combat. You can wall run and attack people. You can use your grapple to change locations and fly to certain enemies in high spots. So yeah, it has combat. So they've made a point of making the mechanics in the game, even if they are from movement and transport sections, that they have usability and mechanics in combat. So that's brilliant. No wasted mechanics. Next question. We'll have to find new weapons somewhere, right? Does this happen between levels? Hirayama answers, that is a fucking question, alright? And that's where again. The way you acquire new weapons in progress is linear. Thank you. So you defeat a boss and automatically get the new weapon. But the levels are also structured so that, for example, after defeating a certain boss, you get the second weapon in the form of the Blood Raven. Oh. It's the sword and drill. You are then placed in a scenario where this weapon will be effective. For example, if you receive a weapon that is good in a one-on-one combat, you will then have to have an encounter like that. So, interesting. So you get the weapon and then you have to defeat a different boss to get the Blood Raven form? Let me read this again. After defeating a certain boss, you get the second weapon in the form of the Blood Raven. Interesting. It makes it sound like that if you get the drill, you have to go through another boss to unlock the Blood Raven form for it. That is very interesting progression for a first time player. That could also make it really annoying if you want to replay. Gotta get used to not having that. Anyways, next question. You've introduced me to chapter 11. You can already tell us how long we can expect Ninja Gaiden 4 to take playthrough. Chapter 11. Okay, so we know at least there's 11 chapters. 11 chapters. That's new news. Nakao, we can't. Fuck. They can't give you the exact number of how many chapters there will be in the game. Damn it. To find out, you'll have to play through the game yourself. However, this section takes place around the halfway through. Ooh. So chapter 11 is around the halfway through the game. If I'm a betting man, dog, if I am a betting man, which you guys know I am, chapter 11, since they said you've introduced me to it, chapter 11 is that stage we saw at TGS. Sorry, not TGS, at not Summer Games. Gamescom. There we go. Too many events to keep track of. But at Gamescom, we saw the new stage where Yakuma just obtains his ninja assassin's tools weapon, which is, the jack of all trades Swiss Army knife thing. And apparently, I swear to God, apparently that's the halfway. You know what? That's the halfway point, or more around halfway point. So I'm guessing after that mission, after chapter 11, you switch to Ryu. And again, there's another game that you switch characters after mission 11. Just gonna leave that there. Mission 12 DMC4. Anyways, moving on. After the game, there is still a lot of content to come after this point, including the segments with Ryu Hypers. As for the overall playtime, a lot depends on your own skill, of course, but if you're just playing through the game for the first time without worrying about the post-game, optional challenges, or other difficulties, so Other difficulties meaning you started on normal. You can expect it to take around 15 to 20 hours, which is good. So for my ass, this is going to be 10 hours because I'm going to discover everything. I'm going to look after every corner. Next question. Since we obtain weapons in such a linear fashion, I imagine there will be more challenges than just using the right weapon against the next boss. Can we expect bosses that require some exciting combos? Oh, Hiroyama. Ninja Gaiden 4 is the first game in the series that allows you to switch weapons seamlessly during combat. Now, hold on. Before I continue with that, I really need them to specify Ryu is able to do this too. I know, weapon switching with Ryu in a seamless manner is gonna be new and uncomfortable and yada 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 2008. But it'll be a shame if Ryu can't do something that Yakumo can, right? It'll just not be proper. So I hope there is seamless weapon switching for Ryu too, because like if you guys seen me play Ninja Gaiden, I be switching weapon like it's DMC. Like I actually use a specific weapon for every enemy type as much as I can, unless I'm doing a weapon playthrough, which I just stick to one. Boring. But yeah, I really needed to confirm or slip up somehow that okay, when Ryu's weapons do come out post game, you can also seamlessly switch between them. There might be a toggle for that. You can switch between if you want to switch between your Nimpo manually or your weapons. That would be cool. Anyways, moving on. Previously, you had to open a separate menu, which I hate, to switch weapons. That's why you can now get very creative with combos. So first, you start a combo with a certain weapon and then switch to a new weapon in the middle of it. And you can then transform the character into Blood Raven form. Little transition mirror. There are many possibilities. Although certain weapons may be more effective against certain scenarios. You are not necessarily forced to use a particular weapon. For example, if you have a favorite weapon, you can continue to use it. Above all, we want to expand the toolbox available to you as a player. Play the game. That's brilliant. If you like one weapon, go nuts with it. But of course, of course, there is going to be weapons that are better against certain enemies. Right? Every Ninja Gaiden has this. Some weapons are just really good against certain enemies. That's always going to be a factor because whether the development team intended for it or not, the players will find an effective way to deal with issues and obstacles. So, yeah, if your favorite weapon ends up being low tier, I do apologize. But yeah, Ninja Gaiden usually doesn't have that problem. All the weapons are really good. Next question. It must be very challenging to balance so many weapons and other tools in combat to create a smooth combat system. What was the biggest challenge in bringing everything together? Fucking animation and making. Oh god, this question. Like the pain people have to go through to actually make an action game. The pain, man. But it's exciting. Ryama-san responds, to achieve a good balance in a game with so many weapons and options, we had to play the game a lot. Yep. Team Ninja and Platinum consulted with each other daily to identify the right areas. We've also received support from Xbox Game Studio that they enabled us to conduct a very large-scale user analysis. Oh, this included not only the experience of hardcore action game fans, but also of newcomers. This allowed us to identify whether some scenarios were too overpowered, which was the Blood Raven form was too overpowered. Gleam and Blood Raven form was too overpowered, so they turned it into a resource bar. Next question. So, would you say your biggest challenge was the sheer number of possibilities and expectations? Yes. I mean, Yakumo has 8 weapons, and one of them turns into like fucking 8 different weapons. So. Ariyama responds, probably the most difficult thing for us was integrating all the new elements into Ninja Gaiden 4 in such a way that it still remain Ninja Gaiden, especially Yakumo's Blood Raven form. I just brought this up. How do we integrate this form into Ninja Gaiden 4 in such a way that it complements the core identity of Ninja Gaiden? For us, the core consists of this intense back and forth between attack and defense. Beautiful answers. Like, holy shit. Eurogamer asks, speaking of the core identity, what was the essence of Ninja Gaiden for you in general? That is a fucking question, man. I really want to see what developers' answer to this, because for me, Ninja Gaiden's identity is always at the very top. Ryu Hayabusa is Ninja Gaiden, right? Right after it is obliteration techniques, ultimate techniques, blind swallow, Izuna drop, guillotine throw, and I am not saying this jokingly. When you jump between walls, that is Ninja Gaiden's identity to me. And because everything I just named is consistent throughout every single game. It's the only thing that completely and over again reoccurs, right? And Nimpo, but Nimpo is basically just a glorified, thing. And Essence, right after that comes Essence. The reason why Essence comes after that because three didn't have it, so it wasn't consistent throughout all of them. It was missing out from one iteration of it. But that to me is the actual identity of Ninja Gaiden. How you fight, right? How you fight is still, every game plays differently, but you do generally the same motions. You dodge, you punish, you attack, you launch, you Zuno drop. It's the sequence. To me, that's the identity. Now, I really want to know what the director says. Sorry, I yapped over it. the quintessence of Ninja Gaiden. This is the right question, right? Okay. Wait, no, hold up. Yeah. Speaking of core identity, what was the essence of Ninja Gaiden for you in general? Between level design, brutality, music, or atmosphere that you didn't want to lose in the latest installment. Hirayama-san, god damn it, the quintessence of Ninja Gaiden is this. No matter what the scenario, even if you're faced with the seemingly insurmountable obstacles, you can overcome any adversity as long as you dig deep into your super ninja toolset. You are able to do this because you have complete control. When you hold the controller in your hand and have an idea of a skill and then press that one button, the game does exactly what you expect it to do. When we introduced the new protagonist Yakumo in Ninja Gaiden 4, we had to make sure that Yakumo conveyed exactly that feeling, precision and control. Of course, there's also Ryu. I love how they always mention him, just in case. Of course, there's also Ryu Hayabusa. Did I just Okay. The other playable character. Both of them have to convey the feeling of complete playability and control, the feeling that you've become one with your controller and are thus able to overcome the intense, challenging situations that the game constantly throws at you. Nakao from Platinum Game was a big fan of Ninja Gaiden series before he became a developer, so he immediately understood what Ninja Gaiden was all about on a very deep level. And perfect timing for this. I did upload Nakao's message to the fans like 6 hours before this, so it's short. It's you can watch the half the video before I start yapping about some stuff. But yeah, Nakao-san is very versed in Ninja Gaiden. He's before being a developer, before everything else, he is a gamer and he loves Ninja Gaiden. That made the collaboration and constant back and forth a very productive and effective process. Back and forth meaning, they're them arguing or consulting each other of what should be what way in Ninja Gaiden 4. Because Platinum has a very every game has a different, very vastly different opinion of how hack and slash should be played, especially Platinum. And some of that essence is in here. Anyways, next question. Did Platinum Games incorporate elements into Ninja Gaiden 4 that had been particularly successful in specific past projects? Yes, perfect dodge, perfect block, and all that. Okay, there isn't really one specific thing we could point out. I just did. Could point from a particular game. Instead, development was guided by two principles. The first is that it's a Ninja Gaiden. The first, by the way, guys. The first is that this is a Ninja Gaiden game, so it has to feel like a typical Ninja Gaiden game. And secondly, because this is a special collaboration, we wanted to do things that only this collaboration could make possible. That includes Platinum Games. Unique, highly stylized action. I think you can see that clearly in Yakumo's Blood Ribbon form. You can see that clearly in Yakumo's Blood Ribbon form. I said that as a question. In the way he transforms, or in his expressive attacks. Right? Yakumo is through and through all weeb ninja. Like he is, even the way he runs, the way he looks, the way he carries himself, the way he talks. He's a ninja created for the young audience. So if you don't like him and you're like in your 40s, that's probably why. It's not meant for you. It's not meant for me either. He's made for me. He's made for the old guys. We were made for him. Talk about Ryu. Do you have... Oh, hold up. I think I skipped one. Yeah, I did. Next question. Since the beta build you ran with the media, has there been any feedback that you've already been able to implement in the game? Ah, damn it. I don't know. We always took a look at how the media and, in fact, everyone interacts with the game and what kind of improvements we can make. For example, is there anything that frustrates them quickly? Yes, grabs, fucking one-shot grabs. We take all of that into account and make adjustment as far as possible before release in order to deliver a game. And hey, man, it really frustrates me that Ryu doesn't have weapons. Putting that out there. I know it's already confirmed that it's coming, but double down on that. Give him twice the more weapons. Do you have any examples of what has already been changed? Ooh, good question. I'm actually curious about this. One example, Nakao-san says, would be the first boss in the game. We had a preview with the media at Xbox Showcase. Wow, that's old. In June. That's literally when they revealed the game. We were able to watch the media play against the first boss. Only a few people were able to defeat this boss, so we thought. Wait, June? Yeah. No, wait. I don't know. I might be thinking of different. We thought that it might be a good idea to make some adjustments so that the first boss wouldn't be too overwhelming. So first boss got a little toned down. I hope that only stays consistent with the first boss and no other boss. Also, when we develop a game, there are mechanics that we quickly take for granted, but we watch new players interact with the game. We often realize, oh, maybe we could explain more there, or we notice that there could be more tutorials or introductory help. These are just some things we've been working on until recently to ensure those core mechanics and how to use them are explained thoroughly. So this happens a lot to a lot of people that you play in through a game, you learn a mechanic, and like 5 missions later, you completely forget about that mechanic till like possibly multiple play sessions later. I was like, oh yeah, I could do this. Like this has happened to me like countless times in different games, not in hack and slash games. Just built different for those. At its core, Ninja Gaiden is designed to offer an intense, challenging gaming experience. So when we make adjustments to the boss, we don't just try to weaken it. If a player has difficulty finding gaps or understanding where opportunities are, where the opponent opens up, and how big the window for attack is, we adjust that. We find ways to better communicate these opportunities to players so that they understand when the enemy is open, which attacks are being identified, and also that attacks are intuitive as possible. This, wow, it's like perfect reading that. This way, players can figure out for themselves how to defend against them. That's perfect. That is a really good response because people tend to just put their fingers on all the dials and just push that shit up. So increase HP, increase damage, increase armor, increase defense. And that's the most bullshit, boring, pussy ass shit you can ever do in game design. Not Destiny. Moving on. One thing I particularly appreciate about Platinum Games' combat system is that, on the one hand, battles feel intuitive and almost casual, while on the other hand, you can really dwell deep into the complex combos. Is that something Ninja Gaiden 4 is also aiming for? Is this a fucking Dark Souls question? That's definitely something we want to achieve with Ninja Gaiden 4, but aside from that, Ninja Gaiden is unique in that there are so many options available. For example, with a particular defense technique, at the block, whether it's blocking or dodging, just within dodging or within blocking, there are many different options. Correct. Ninja Gaiden 4 wants to offer this wide range of options and tools that players can delve into to integrate into their own fighting style. That's beautiful. You should have multiple defensive options in different manners, right? So, with Dante, you have the jump, you have the roll, you have Starfall, you have the Trickster Dash, and you have Royal Guard, which is, the ultimate defense. Like, nothing can penetrate that. And depending on your skill level, you can just never dodge and just Royal Guard and just build up more damage stacks, right? With Nero, it's like you do Table Hopper and gives you more DT back. You would Virgil, you don't dodge, period. You just kill whatever's on screen because he doesn't give a fuck. Moving on. However, I don't want to give the impression that the game just throws you in the deep and throws a huge list of moves at you that you have to memorize from the start. Ninja Gaiden 4 will feature a robust tutorial and onboarding process for every player. Each technique will have a video and explanation as well as training modes so you can practice right away. In addition to the tutorial and onboarding, there are different difficulty levels available. Separate from normal mode, there is a so-called hero mode. This activates aids such as auto guard, auto dodge, and another system that allows you to perform more complex actions with simpler input. Once you have selected hero mode and activated the assistance, you are not forced to use these assists for the rest of the game. They can be turned on and off at any time in the menu. So once you feel comfortable with the general flow of combat, you can easily try manually defending or dodging. We know this, we've heard about that plenty. You can also switch between hero mode, normal mode, and hard mode in the middle of the game. For examples, you can start in hero mode with all the assists disabled, the assistant after the first chapter, and then switch to normal mode after completing the second chapter. If you feel like you've improved, after that, you can switch to hard mode. And if you think, okay, I'm not ready for that yet, you can drop it back down to normal mode. We designed the game so that the combat and difficulty adjust according to your current level and progress. Adaptive difficulty in Ninja Gaiden? I hope that's not what they mean. I hope that just means you can change the difficulty whenever you want. I don't want to deal like with Resident Evil type of adaptive difficulty in NG. I can just imagine the horror in that. Last question. Before we wrap up, one more question about the music. Ooh, is the soundtrack being composed by the same composer as the old Ninja Gaiden? No. And what mood is it intent to create this time around? Nakao-san answers, this soundtrack is also being composed at Platinum Games, if you couldn't tell. So different teams are involved than in the previous game. In terms of the overall sound, the music retains some aspects of early Ninja Gaiden pieces, but the mood will change depending on the situation and the character. For example, there's a section during the story where you play as Ryu Hayabusa. The music in this the music in this section will be reminiscent of the sound of the previous Ninja Gaiden games. However, when you play as Yakumo, Platinum Game musical style will come through. You can expect harder music and vocals. It will be combined with classic Ninja Gaiden game and distinct Platinum Game touch. That is the end of it. Oh my god. Okay, so I was talking with a bunch of my friends when the music got leaked for the boss fight, the first boss fight, and it sounded Metal Gear Rising as fuck. It was like platinum and extremely Metal Gear Rising music sounding. So yeah, the vocals, the height, the chorus and all that, everything was just fantastic. Right, it was good music. Depending on your taste, when I say good music, it's good to me. It might be ass to you. That's your opinion. That's your taste. Music is subjective. Moving on. And I was telling him I really hope when you play as Ryu and maybe fight old bosses like classic bosses like you all McMarbus, Zidonius, and like Genshin and all that. Never Elizabeth. I hope she dies and burns in hell. Um, it's like Ryu's music plays, like the classic Ninja Gaiden music plays with a little bit of touch up, maybe a remix of him that's like not modern, but like they touched up, like some new instruments are tossed in there, right? And it seems that's exactly what they're doing. Ryu segments has old Ninja Gaiden taste. It is old Ninja Gaiden style, so it's probably gonna be a traditional. Like you're gonna have Japanese. Maybe I'm hoping some Ninja Gaiden 3 in there, but I doubt it. I think they're gonna lean more on twos because 2 and 1's music were a lot more atmospheric than 3 was. 3 was just kill, 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 and it fits that game because that's the whole point of Ninja Gaiden 3. Is he is just shredding people apart without a care in the world, which is false. But yeah, that's the whole interview. I did promise not to yap, so I will end it here. This video is gonna get uploaded Sunday, so that's that. Again, for people that want to go through this themselves, on Reddit, on the Ninja Gaiden subreddit, Luneth22 posted this and translated this. So again, Luneth22, thank you. I hope you don't mind me reading through this. But yeah, that is all of it. And the article itself is this. This is the article itself, and I don't know what language this is. I'm not even gonna like try to guess like German, Dutch, whatever this can be. It looks Dutch. I don't know though. So if you want to read it yourself, you want to translate it yourself, you want to see if there's any errors there, go for it. Have fun with it. No new pictures. We've seen these pictures, unfortunately. Well, fortunately, I guess. We've seen all those pictures and all that stuff. Yeah. But this is everything. So, with that being said, I will catch you guys later. Hopefully, we'll see some news on Monday. Maybe not Monday, but maybe later. But always more news. So, when that happens, as always, I'll bring it to you as fast as I possibly and humanly can, despite sleep deprivation or not. But if not, then I'll see you guys on TGS when that happens this month, later in like 17 days. So, you know the drill. The game is there. You can go there. We can play it. You can get a pendant. You can get a pin for it, and all the good stuff in Japan. So, take care, guys. Have a wonderful night. Have a wonderful day. Have a wonderful evening. I'll catch you guys later.